A republic if you can keep it. A long time ago, well, not that long ago in the grand scheme of things, there was a land of many colonies ruled by a king across the ocean. The king, far away in Britain, passed laws and taxes over people who had no voice in the matter. Eventually, those people said, enough. They gathered, debated, and fought, not just with guns, but with ideas. In 1776, they declared their independence, and not long after, they faced the even bigger challenge. How do we govern ourselves? The first attempt was a loose agreement called the Articles of Confederation, where each state acted almost like its own little country. There was no strong central power, no president, no national court system, and Congress couldn't even collect taxes. It was like trying to run a ship with 13 captains arguing over where to sail. Chaos followed. So the leaders realized something had to change. In 1787, they gathered in Philadelphia and wrote a brand new plan, the U.S. Constitution. This document laid the foundation for a brand new kind of government, something the world hadn't quite seen before. The United States would become a constitutional republic. That means the country would be led by representatives elected by the people, but with a constitution, a set of written rules that even those leaders had to follow. No kings, no unchecked power, just laws, rights, and balance. To keep the government fair and under control, the Constitution created 3 branches of government, like 3 legs of a stool. Each branch had its own job, and none could become more powerful than the others. The legislative branch, Congress, writes the laws. Inside of Congress, there is the House of Representatives and the Senate. Even though they worked together, they were very different, like 2 kids from the same family with totally different styles. The House of Representatives was the younger, louder sibling. There were 435 members in the House. That's a lot of voices. The more people a state had, the more members it sent to the House. California, for example, had way more than little states like Vermont. House members only stayed for 2 years at a time, so they were always listening to what the people back home wanted. They were in charge of starting money and tax bills, and if a president or judge did something really wrong, the House could vote to impeach them. Meanwhile, the Senate was the older, calmer sibling. There were only 100 senators and just 2 from each state, no matter how big or small. So tiny Rhode Island and huge Texas got equal say. Senators stayed for 6 years, which gave them time to think through big decisions. They had special powers too. They voted to approve presidents' picks for judges and leaders, and they also held trials if someone was impeached. The House was quick and close to the people. The Senate was slower and more thoughtful, but here's the important part. No law can be passed unless both agree. The executive branch, the president and their team, enforces the laws and helps lead the country day to day. At the center of the executive branch is the President of the United States. Think of the president as the CEO of the country, elected by the people every 4 years to lead and make sure the laws passed by Congress are actually put into action. But the president doesn't do it alone. Right beside the president is the vice president, ready to help and take over if needed. Then there's the president's cabinet, a team of experts in charge of different areas like defense, education, health, and the environment. These cabinet members lead big departments and they advise the president on tough decisions. Underneath them are millions of government workers and agencies like the FBI, CIA, NASA, and the Post Office. All part of the executive branch, all helping to run different parts of the country. The president has a lot of responsibilities. Signs or vetoes laws from Congress, leads the military as commander-in-chief, makes treaties and meets with foreign leaders, appoints federal judges and officials with Senate approval, leads during national emergencies. Even though the president is a powerful leader, they don't make the laws or decide what's constitutional. That's up to the legislative and judicial branches. Each branch has its own job, and they all work together to keep the country running fairly and smoothly. The judicial branch is the one that makes sure laws are fair and follow the Constitution. At the top of the judicial branch is the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. It's made up of 9 justices, including the Chief Justice, and they don't make laws, they interpret them. Their job is to decide what the law really means, especially when there's confusion or disagreement. Imagine 2 sides arguing in a courtroom about a law. The Supreme Court listens to both sides and decides if the law follows the rules written in the U.S. Constitution, the nation's most important document. If a law goes against the Constitution, the court can say, that law is not allowed, and strike it down. But the judicial branch is bigger than just the Supreme Court. There are lower courts all across the country, district courts and courts of appeals, where judges handle everything from small disputes to major federal cases. These courts help people get fair treatment under the law. Judges in the federal court system aren't elected. They're appointed by the president and must be approved by the Senate. And once they're in, they usually serve for life. so they can make tough decisions without worrying about politics. The judicial branch is like the referee in a big game. It doesn't take sides, just makes sure everyone plays by the rules. So while Congress makes the laws and the president carries them out, it's the judicial branch that protects the Constitution and ensures justice for all. But the founders weren't done. They also introduced a powerful idea called checks and balances. This meant that each branch could check the power of the others. For example, Congress can make a law, but the president can veto it. The president can appoint a judge, but the Senate must approve. The courts can strike down laws that go against the Constitution. It's a system that forces cooperation and prevents tyranny. The people at the center. But the real heart of this system isn't in Washington, D.C., it's with the people. That's the most important part. The United States is a representative democracy, meaning that instead of voting on every single law themselves, citizens vote for leaders who represent them. These leaders, in turn, are accountable to the people through regular elections. The Constitution also includes a powerful section called the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments. These are protections for the people. They guarantee freedoms like speech, religion, and the press, as well as the right to a fair trial and protection from unfair searches. Over time, more amendments have been added, ending slavery, giving women the right to vote, lowering the voting age to 18, each one shaping the country closer to its ideals. But here's the secret at the heart of the story. The US government isn't perfect, and it was never meant to be finished. It was designed to be changed, challenged, and improved by the people themselves. Protests, petitions, amendments, and court cases, all are tools that people have used to make the government live up to its promise. The United States is a constitutional republic and a representative democracy. That's a fancy way of saying, the rules are written down in a constitution that limits the power of government and protects individual rights. The people vote for leaders to represent them and make decisions on their behalf. You don't vote for laws directly, usually, but you do vote for people who pass them, like senators, representatives, governors, and presidents, the states, and the nation. The US is also a federal system. That means there's more than one level of government. There's the national government in Washington, D.C., which handles big things like defense and trade. Then there are 50 state governments, each with their own constitutions, governors, and legislatures. It's like a layered cake. Each layer has its own flavor and job to do, but they're part of the same dessert. Sometimes the layers argue about who gets to do what. That's part of the system, too. The Constitution tries to draw the lines, but when those lines are fuzzy, the courts step in. Power to the people. Back when they were writing the Constitution, someone asked Benjamin Franklin, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A monarchy or a republic?" He replied, "A republic, us if you can keep it." And that's the real key. The US government isn't something that just runs on its own. It relies on citizens. People like you to vote, speak up, stay informed, and hold leaders accountable. There have been fights over who gets to vote. And over time, more people have been included. Black Americans, women, indigenous people, young people. The journey hasn't been perfect, but the idea of government, of the people, by the people, for the people, is still the beating heart of the story. So what kind of government is it? In the end, the United States is a constitutional system. The rules are written and supreme. A federal system. Power is shared between national and state governments. A republic. The people elect leaders to represent them. A democracy. Power ultimately comes from the people. It's a system designed to be slow, deliberate, and often messy, because it's built to protect freedom and prevent any one person or group from having too much power. And as the story goes on, each generation picks up the pen and keeps writing. What kind of government the United States is depends on how well the people who live in it keep the flame alive, with knowledge, with action, and with care. Because after all, it's a republic, if we can keep it.